my name is Staci Alden, Master Instructor for Balanced Body. We're here live in the Balanced Body studio to show you more about the 3-pound hand weights that we have. They have a strap on them and they're basically nice for your hand to hold onto because they help your hand just kind of rest on the weight versus having to grip really, really hard, as well as the fact that it's strapped to your hand. So if you have maybe some form of a wrist issue or have trouble gripping things, they would be a really great option to use. So you can use them in the studio. We're going to show you several exercises you can do for shoulder stability, mobility, even some spine mobility with these weights, as well as you could simply just take them outside and go for a walk with them for added resistance. So we'll start with JT, our model today, in a seated position, and he'll just have the hand weights down by his sides. We'll start with just some mobility and get him nice and warm before we go into this series of exercises because they do get more challenging. So choose the exercise that's best for your body. We'll have JT reach his right arm up toward the sky and just side bend. And while he side bends toward that left side, we'll go ahead and rotate the shoulder so you can lean a little bit more if you want to, JT. Perfect. So that arm is going straight up toward the ceiling and he's getting some nice circles through that shoulder joint. And then you can go the other direction. So the socket is nice and flush into his shoulder girdle and he should feel pretty comfortable here. It's just, again, a way to warm up the shoulder. And then we'll take that right arm down and go into the other side. Also getting some nice side flexion of the spine. Again, moving through that shoulder joint. We'll just do 3 to 5 repetitions, and that's really all you'd have to do here. And you could make those circles bigger. Now that he's a bit more warm in the shoulder girdle, we'll have JT sit up nice and tall, reach the arms out wide, shoulders stay away from those ears, and he's really reaching. He could even reach through his fingertips if he wanted to because those weights stay on his hands. And he's going to do some arm circles, again, moving from the shoulder, trying to stay nice and stable through the chest and the upper body, and then change direction on those shoulder circles. So arms rotating, trying to keep that body nice and still. Last rotation, and then we'll bring the hands down to the ground. So we'll have JT kind of pivot to the side so he's lengthwise on the mat, still sitting down, and we'll do the 100 really quick with these weights. So as he's seated, he's just going to curl back, find that 100 position. So go down a little bit more, JT, so your shoulders are actually on the mat. Perfect. Legs will come up into tabletop and his arms are reaching. He can reach his fingers here and start to pump those arms. So we'll start there, slapping those arms on that imaginary pool of water. And if he wanted to, he could reach the legs, he can pull them in. But we're really thinking about pulling in the belly toward the spine. We're adding those breathings. We're inhaling for 5, exhaling through the mouth for 5. He's adding that mobility of the legs, or he could even just keep those legs out. So it's adding that extra work in the shoulder by adding those hand weights and the core as well. So let's relax. We can pull those knees into our chest for a second. We're moving into now a side plank. So we'll have you go ahead and go onto your side, JT, from here. Perfect. And he's going to put his left hand on the ground using that hand weight because it does create a bit more stability. So if you can put this hand on the floor so they can kind of see if you're in this plank with the shoulder up off of the floor. So if you put your hand on here, yeah, and then find that side plank here. So his wrist is now still kind of protected by that hand weight because it can kind of relax versus be so flexed against that 3-pound weight. So this arm is going to reach up toward the sky, toward the ceiling. Perfect. And then he's going to exhale, pull this top leg toward that top elbow. Exhaling as we encourage those obliques, those lats to turn on to bring the arm down and hopefully trying to stay nice and open here. I like to tell people that they need to pretend like they're in a toaster oven and they want to avoid leaning forward or leaning back here to get more of that side body. One more here, JT, looking good. And let's come down from there, going to the other side. So if for whatever reason the hand weights don't feel comfortable underneath the wrists here, you could put the hand on the ground, you could put the elbow on the ground. But again, we're just getting into those obliques. We're adding some more stretch and strength through those latissimus dorsi muscles. Exhale, pull everything together again, JT, good. Inhale to reach. Good. So he's keeping that leg as open as he can. It's again more about the shoulder coming toward the hip than it is necessarily the elbow toward the knee. And there's just that added resistance from that 3-pound weight. Last one here, JT. looking strong, and relax. Going into a push-up position next, we're using the 3-pound weights to basically, again, put those wrists in a nice position if it feels comfortable for you. And they are kind of squishy, so they provide a little more padding for the wrists as well. And we'll go into just 2 or 3 push-ups all by themselves. You can do this, of course, kneeling. You can do this in a full push-up position as JT is demonstrating. And then we can add some rows here. So something I like to do is pressing up and then pulling one weight off the ground, going into that push-up again, pulling the other weight off the ground. So you would alternate those arms as you're doing those rows. Last thing we're going to do here while we're in this position, we'll just lower the knees. You can take a little break. We're going to come onto our side. So JT is now going to just shift his knees to one side, laying on his side, almost kind of in a fetal position. The hands will stack on top of each other with those hand weights. As he's opening up the arm, he'll reach back toward me and get a nice thoracic spine rotation while he's using those weights as a little bit of resistance. So we can go all the way toward the floor. He has a lot of good rotation here, and then bring those hands back together. Another great way to work through the shoulders here is to do some arm circles. So as he closes his hands, still engaging through the core, we'll let him reach his arm up overhead and then come around nice, all the way down, hand toward the hip, and then to close those hands on the other side. And then you can, of course, maybe try the other direction, JT. Perfect. So legs can stay still. He's opening up quite a bit, but you could, of course, make this a little bit smaller in the range of motion depending on how those shoulders and that spine feels. Let's go ahead and do a quick switch to the other side, JT. Another thing you can do in that position specifically is put a pillow or a small inflatable ball underneath your head if your neck starts to build some tension here, being free against the floor. So let's just start with the opener, the chest opener, JT. Opening up the chest, finding good, that nice chest expansion, shoulders away from those ears, core engaged, closing everything up. Let's go into those circles. So top arm goes up overhead, drawing, yes, chest open. So notice how he is able to really rotate his wrist open and then close it back up, moving through that full shoulder rotation, going the other way to finish up this sequence of exercises. There are so many other possibilities that you can do with these 3-pound hand weights. We've shown you just the surface of what you can do. You can check them out on Pilates.com. Thanks for watching.